Well, once again, his own family. Yours truly, Joe Dupree, in the building, 100 BLK, the Black Station. My good friend, Edward J. Brown, Positive Choices, Counseling Services in the building. And I know we kind of missed a week because I wasn't really in the best of health, but we're back in the building. And since we're back in the building, a lot's that happened in the last 2 weeks. Schools done started back.
Hold on.
They lost their mind in Montgomery, Alabama.
Buckle up.
And football season is back in full swing. Preseason and collegiate football is about to go down. It is less than 3 weeks and counting, and we will be at the first SWAC game of the season. We making our way to Montgomery, Alabama. They better not have no chairs waiting for us. I'm just saying.
Hey, look, don't worry about it. We bringing our own. It look like we bringing them. Okay. We pulling them out of our pocket. Trunk.
Okay, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, my brother, how you do?
Oh man, I'm good. I'm good. I'm back. I'm back at it. I'm back at it. So it is the 16th day. Right. That's what they say. You can't keep a good man down. So get a little closer to the microphone because I can't hear you. But and the folks can't hear you. But yeah, that's better. It's the 16th day of August, and family. It is Wellness Wednesday, where a healthy you
is a better
you. And there's a lot we need to talk about when it comes to mental health. There's a lot we need to talk about when it comes to mental health.
It's a lot, man, because this whole Montgomery thing got people talking, got different races of people talking. We got folks talking about whether we have built up aggression, we still harbor the energy of our ancestors. It's a lot going on just because the brother threw his hat up in the air and the Avengers assembled. You know, so that brother threw his, they said it was like the bat signal when he threw that hat up in the air. You know, my thing is, man, we have to look at what we gotta call generational thought process. We talking about Alabama,
right?
You know what I mean? If you talk about a state that is synonymous with racism, you got, in my opinion, Mississippi, number 1.
Come on.
And Alabama, number 2. Now,
Come
people
on.
people go back and forth on whether we're talking about Georgia or Louisiana is number 3 now. But we deep
Well,
south.
that's true. That's true.
And these folks
That's
felt
true.
very comfortable, man, jumping that brother. You got to think about it. They felt
Yeah,
comfortable
they did.
until the bat signal went. And we see the difference in mentality of our people. Hey, man, we see the difference in the mentality. That brother jumped in the water and started swimming. I had never seen anything like that in
Yes,
my life.
sir. Yes,
That brother
sir.
came
Yes,
down
sir.
after step. So, I mean, we really got to think about the division of this country and the mentality that is still being harbored in 2022, 2023. I'm sorry, let's go back to 2020, 2021, 22, and 23 regarding race relations in this country. Because that is a mental process, race relations. So, like you said, a lot's been happening, man. We got a lot going on, but let's get it going.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, my good friend Edward J. Brown from Positive Choices Counseling Services.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back with Wellness Wednesday. My brother doing well. We always say that a lot of times this show, the topic chooses itself. We don't really choose. Well, because we were not here when this whole Alabama brawl, as they call it, Montgomery brawl, occurred. I think we would be remiss in not talking. The reason that this is such a big story, number one, yes, caught on video. But number two, it is different from what Norm believes should have gone down in Alabama. As I spoke minutes ago about, we have to look at common ideations, common thought process that go along with the idea of Alabama. There was a time where 5 white people could jump on the brother in Alabama, beat him senseless or to death, and nothing be done about it, let alone legally or
True.
other black people. Here we are in 2023. And there's certain things that I want to dissect about the whole video that I think we have to talk about. When they jumped that brother, Brother Dupree, I'm gonna ask you because I want that perspective of what you deal with every day as law enforcement versus what I deal with every day as a behavior. If you don't believe there was there was energy built up in those black folks, let me ask you a question. When they got that brother to safety, why wasn't it over? Those brothers just not say, look, we
Well,
want to make sure he was safe. Those 3 brothers walked down to that boat. They went to the boat and was like, why
Brother Brown.
why wasn't
Brother Brown, let us be honest with one another. First of all,
what we do here?
in the words of a famous Mississippian, folks sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I think that it had finally got to a place that had it not been in Montgomery, it would have been somewhere that folk would have finally said, we tired of doing what you ask us to do. And now all of a sudden, because you don't feel like doing what we asking you to do, we have a problem. See, that gets to the point where you get tired of folks saying, do as I say, don't do as I do. And see, you get tired of the mistreatment. You get tired, really as a people of color, we sick and tired of being sick and tired. We sick and tired of being the sub-citizen. We sick and tired of every time there's a problem, we the problem. But every time you want something fixed, every time you want some hard labor done, you coming to look for us to get it done. We sick and tired of being the ones who do all the heavy lifting while everybody else just sit around and say, oh, that's no problem. But then when we ask for everyday wages or a living wage, not just everyday wage. When we ask for a living wage, no, you already getting paid too much. What you mean we getting paid too much? You don't understand. And I think it just got to a place that folk of color said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And it just happened to happen in Montgomery, Alabama. So like you said, because it was in the Deep South and folk really not used to black folk in the Deep South rising up like that, I think that's one of the reasons it went viral, because folks were like, wait a minute, something's going on in the South that ain't nobody talking about.
Because this is what I've been facing. This is the question that I'm getting from white clients, white people in my field. Why are black people so happy that these people were beat up where they were? That's just not good human being. That's not good practice. That's not good Christian-like mentality.
Well, hold it. Wait a minute. Bookmark that. See, here's what I think some people who are not of color need to understand. We still ain't got reparations. We still haven't got a full apology for what happened with us in slavery. We still haven't got an apology of what happened in the Jim Crow years. To be exact, racism is still alive and kicking and doing well in 2023. So here's what gets to me. When all of a sudden we start handling you like you handle us, there's a problem. But when you handle us that way, we provoked you to handle us that way. See, it can't be a double standard. It can't be you provoked us, but when you provoke us to act the way that you've been acting for years and we lash out, then, oh, that's not the Christian way of doing it. Well, let me tell you something. It wasn't the Christian way to lynch black folks back in the 60s, the 50s, and the 40s, but you were doing it and going to church every Sunday going, thank you, Jesus, praise the Lord. So come on, don't feed me that malarkey. No, not today. Yeah. Not today.
It's and my response to it was, well, it's no different. Well, and then there was people just standing around watching and cheering. I said, same way when you watch these little girls who was just trying to go to school and had to be escorted into the school by state police and military. There were grown men spitting on those little girls. There were grown men talking about, I'm going to kill you, to a child. When there was a mob of people outside chanting and cheering to have these children killed because they had to integrate a white school. Now, the person that I was talking to kind of looked at, I said, and here's another thing. I have a conversation with my friends who are white, not that suffer from that melanin issue. And I said, everybody wants to work all life. Brother, I got a t-shirt addiction. One of my favorite t-shirts that I have says, where was All Lives Matter 1820 to 2020? When we were hanging people, when we were the people being shot, we were the people being burned, schools, churches being blown up. Where was All Lives Matter? But let's take the idea that All Lives is not black part of all.
Correct.
So if All Lives Matter, shouldn't you be out here with us protesting injustices done against black?
Well, I think once again, and I'm gonna bookmark you there, and I need you to move your microphone just a little bit closer. I ain't figured out what's going on yet, but I'm gonna figure it out in a minute here.
All right.
But
I'm gonna turn it up a little bit.
There we go. That's better.
That's better?
That's much better. So what else I have come to discover, my brother, and let me say this. It's easy for folk to talk about you when they're in the driver's seat and the atrocities that are occurring is not happening to them. Prime example, we talk about this all the time when we come down to talking about incarceration, when we come down to talk about substance abuse. It ceases to amaze me because crack cocaine ran rampant through
Black
communities of colors. And there was, there was an epidemic, but it was more of a criminal epidemic and a war on crime. Instead of saying these poor people are addicted to this substance, how do we get them off this substance? Now, as you see with opioids, the game changed a little bit, but opioids ain't deep in community of colors. Let's call it what it is. So let's and once again, that's why I'm also talking about some things that I think we need to understand, because election season is coming. And you see what's going on in the news. People right now are talking about, the front runner for certain parties are under indictment in every state, they seem like, in the union over something. But at the end of the day, you got to watch who you cast your vote for and ask yourself, are these people concerned about what is really the issues in your community that can bring about legislation to bring about a change in your community that folk can begin to get healed? Like, for example, I'm starting to ask politicians to their face, what is your stance on mental health? Because I do this every Wednesday. I talk to you. I know how your funding is getting cut. I know how there's people you want to help, but you can't help because the funding is getting cut. So I'm like, what is your stance on mental health? Because watch this. It's always we're the animals and we're the problem when we're the one doing the killing. But every time somebody who don't look like us kill about 10, 12, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 folk, then all of a sudden we talk about it's a mental health problem. They're not bad people. They just have mental health. Well, hold up, partner. It can't be we killed 2 people and we animals, they killed 35 and they got a mental health problem. Where is your stance on mental health and mental health funding, Brother Brown?
Well, the first thing we got to do, and we should stop this podcast at this point and have a disclaimer. Here's the disclaimer. Under no way, shape, or form do I have a problem with any race. I have very good friends of all races. So it's not about race, because I am not shallow enough to believe pigmentation of a person's skin depicts content of their character. I'm not, there's good black people, there's bad black people.
Come on.
White people, there's bad white people. Asians, Hispanic, bad. So don't insult me by believing that I think the pigmentation of a person's skin makes them good or evil one way or the other. But what I can do is I can talk about the history of behavior as a behaviorist throughout the country and abroad in some cases. So I may say we have to start looking at, we started off talking about the brawl in Alabama.
Right. Now hold on.
I started saying,
I need
why
you to do
is it such?
I need you to do one more thing. One more thing. Whatever that effect was that you put on the mic, I'm gonna jump in for a minute and go solo while you fix that.
I don't think so. Okay, how's that?
Okay, that's a little better. So listen,
better.
family.
How's
The
that?
disclaimer, that's better.
Much
So
better?
the disclaimer was given. And I'm gonna give the disclaimer again. Listen, we don't have anything against anybody who does not look like us. Look, I got love for all races, and if anybody knows me, my first love and my oldest child is biracial. So, you love who you love. At the end of the day, I believe in only one race, and that's the human race. And family, we've got to do better by understanding that there's more that binds us than what divides us. And understand that. And I don't know, will that ever be brought out into clear understanding? Does it take an alien race to come down and start talking about all I'm going to do is eat the white folks, or the white folks start jumping up saying, no, that dark meat tastes just as good as the white meat? I don't know what's going to happen to change that, but there is more that binds us than what separates us. And family, we got to do better. So don't think for 1 minute we're being prejudiced or we're talking about folks or we're at the place where we don't like folks because they're not black. Let me tell you something. I love everybody. I especially love those who love themselves and those who try to better this world and better everyone around them. Now, guess what? All skin folk ain't kinfolk, and all white folk ain't bad folk, and all folk that don't look like me ain't got a problem with me. But sometimes we got to be truthful that there are some systemic issues that have occurred in our society that if we do not address them, Houston, we got a problem. Brother Brown.
Absolutely. So to pick up where we're talking about is that we have to look at why this brawl created such excitement, such joy in the African American community. Because if you talk to someone of non-African descent, they would say, well, they just like it because they was beating up white people. And I'm here to clear something up. The joy of that event was not the violence. See, it was not the violence. It was that we as a race of people supported one another
There was unity
threat
in the community.
That's the joy. And yes, of course, the comical side of it came out because we got chairs popping up all over it. But what brought about the joy regarding this situation was this brother started out alone and he was being mobbed and he got support from his race of people to protect him. That's where the joy comes in. Wasn't that we was glad because the white dude got choked or the woman got thrown in the water or the dude beat the people with the chair. But that brother in old Alabama would have been a victim and all we could have done was stand around and watch.
Alabama.
But what happened was we supported one another. Amidst the threat, we were like, we are not going to allow this brother to get beat to death for doing this job. We are going to support him and protect him. That's the part that's getting lost. You know, they're losing it. And they believe it's because, they happy because they got to beat up the white people. No. You know, that was just lanyard. That was just us saying, look at how we came together. Look how we came together to support and protect one another. Complete stranger. Nobody knew that brother. They did not know one another. But they went and they said it will not happen today the way it happened in old Alabama.
Correct. The old South did not rise as the song that everybody was having.
Support one another.
Right.
We're going to support one another no matter what.
As the song
that's what brought about the talk that we're still having.
Right. You know, there's a song talking about in a small town. And basically that's basically saying, look, we ain't dealing with this BLM, this Black Lives Matter mess in our small rural cities. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. So let me understand this. I can as a man of color go register and be a part of the armed services, which you need to look at the percentages of how many people of color are in the armed services. I can defend this country, but this country ain't got no love for me. All of a sudden, I'm not a part of this country.
But the country won't defend you.
Right. So family, we got to wake up. It's time for us. Listen, there's a clarion call being made to folk of color to wake up. First of all, stop hating yourself. I come back to Malcolm and I say it time and time again. Who taught you to hate yourself? So let me go back to some real numbers where some folks on here who ain't of color can say, they ain't trying, they really trying to make us look back. No, let me tell you something. More black folk kill more black folk than white folk kill black folk. However, more white folk kill white folk than black folk kill white folks. It's just the numbers are what they are. But until we get to the point that we love ourselves and we have more situations where regardless if, and we pray to God that it doesn't turn into a brawl or a fight, but we need to have people of color to defend people of color when people of color are right. There might be a conversation where folk are ganging up on a person of color. You need to step in there and say, hey, hold up. He's right. Y'all wrong. And I'm standing with him. I'm not trying to fight y'all, but y'all not going to be here belittling this man or this woman or
and
talking
I
down
believe
to
that's
them.
what the first brother did. When
Right.
the first brother came down, he was like, yo, y'all stop. And he was trying
That part.
until he got hit in the mouth. And then he was like, well, wait a
Right.
minute. So now it is what it is. But I think that we have to take this situation and look at it from another perspective. Here's the perspective. How can we apply that looking out for one another to other aspects of the African American community? How can we pass that? I'm not just going to support you when I see you getting jumped, but I'm going to support you when I see you doing wrong. And I'm going to say, hey, brother, maybe you might want to try a different way than breaking in that store. Won't you try a different angle, a different approach? And we support each other throughout so many different aspects of our life here in this country. Because what we saw again, and we're going to reiterate, we saw Black folks come together to protect one another. So we have to come together to protect other parts of life as well, like our children. We got to stop seeing our children not excelling and not and doing, we're accepting mediocrity, I guess what I'm saying. And start to say, we're going to raise the standard. He came home with 5 A's, but he can't read. Shouldn't you say, well, hold on a minute, I'm not okay with this, instead of bragging about how he got 5 A's? I think that Montgomery situation showed us we have the capacity to come together. We have it in us. We have the capacity to support one another and break the ideology of we are inferior. We're incapable. There's still sundown towns in Mississippi.
That part.
And
that
we
part.
we okay. We okay with that? We're okay with the fact that there are still sundown towns? And for those of you who don't know what a sundown town is, the first time I ever heard of that was from my grandfather. I maybe was 10 or 11 years old.
Teach.
And he said there were towns that they would say, don't let the sun set on you here in this town. Get your black ass out of this town. If you got caught in a town like that after sundown, you were fair game. Whatever happened to you, happened to you. If you got lynched or you got killed, well, you wasn't supposed to be there after sundown. But do you not find it incredibly breathtaking, and I don't mean in a good way, that there are still sundown towns in this country, let alone Mississippi?
Come on. Because they're not just in Mississippi.
No.
We're just not right.
Was Louisiana born.
Hold it. There's some in Alabama. There's some in Louisiana. There's some in Texas. There's some in Georgia. There's some in South Carolina. There are probably a few of them in North Carolina, Florida, and Tennessee. Listen, racism is running rampant in this country. And family, we got to start saying it is what it is. And we got to start coming up with solutions on how do we resolve these issues of racism. Come on, listen. I heard a commercial today where a person said, and I'm not going to name who the candidate is. You can catch that on my other broadcast. But the individual had the audacity to say we have too much woke ideology in school. Well, wait a minute. If woke ideology is teaching the children that there was a civil war, that there was Jim Crow, that there was black folks that got lynched just because they wanted to be on an even playing field with folks that didn't look like them. And then we need to tell the truth about it. All this free labor, a lot of these folk who don't look like us, the reason they have accumulated all this wealth is because their ancestors pimped our ancestors out and put them in bondage and slavery for free labor, period. And if you didn't have that, I don't know, would you have immersed the wealth that you have immersed? So when folks start talking about, but they ain't got what we got. Well, hold on. We didn't have the same playing field. And if we did, I'm not sure you would have got what you got.
Yeah. And to the bigger part of that whole story right there, brother, is that so now we're changing the narrative because it makes some people feel bad. You can't say that we started off behind the 8 ball in this country. We got to do things twice as good to get half as much recognition in this country. All of that makes people feel bad. So since certain people feel bad, we're not going to talk about it. We're going to take it out of the book. We're not going to, say it around my children. Because my children say, well, I don't like the way that makes me feel. Let's take it out. At some point, white folks, black folks, got to look at this Montgomery thing and stop finding the goodness in the fight and start to put, we want you to understand, we are no longer hating on each other. We're supporting each other. I don't know this brother right here, but I support him. I don't know that sister right there, but I encourage her. I don't know this child right here, but I am going to educate them. I am not going to sit behind and allow myself to be treated as mediocre. They want to erase history that they don't like. I don't like the fact that certain people with monuments own slaves. I don't like that. So y'all fighting to keep that. I don't like the Confederate flag, not because I don't like the colors or the X on it. I don't like what it symbolized.
Come on.
I don't like the people that it represented.
Come on.
You understand?
Come
That's
on.
what I don't like. I don't have
Come
a
on.
problem with red and I don't have a problem with white. And I just don't like that flag represented a group of people that were willing to fight and die to enslave another group. Okay? So if you fought to enslave, I want all remnants of you gone. The same way you want all remnants of me and my ancestors to be enslaved taken out of the books because it makes the children feel bad. See, Lil Billy is really friends with Akeem. So when Lil Billy learning about slavery, and Lil Billy looking at Akeem saying, so back in the day, Akeem, you would have been my slave. And Akeem said, you can try it if you want, but I got this 2-piece in the biscuit waiting on you right here, and you my friend.
Hold it. Times have changed. Now understand this, and I want y'all to really grasp onto this because I'm going to pass it back to Brother Edward. And Brother Edward, when you got real close to that microphone, that was perfect. Yeah. But let me say this, family.
All right.
I want y'all to clearly understand what I'm about to say right now and have some clarity in it. It's easy for you, if none of your ancestors went through what my ancestors went through, to say that I'm crying, complaining, and whining way too much. Baby, let me tell y'all something. And I experienced this firsthand. You want to talk about some of y'all who whined and complained and talked about, you can't do us like that. Let me take you back to 9/11. But when I whine and complain, y'all whine and complain too much. And look how far y'all came from slavery. Okay. But when 9/11 came and a group of folks said, all of this is what really got me. All of a sudden, it wasn't white America and black America. We were all Americans.
It's America.
Yeah. But the truth about it is, and if it's just like in Vietnam, if you really sit down and talk to them folk, guess what they tell you? we don't really look at all of y'all as Americans. Now, we came over here to take care of some of them. Y'all just got caught up as collateral damage, but we were wanting some of them other folks. And that's just the truth about the matter. See, you got to understand, when you go to other countries, some folk don't see what you call this America. They see the white America, they see the black America, and they see the difference. And they let you know they see the difference, and they understand the difference. And they feel it's quite hypocritical how you try to police everybody else, but you ain't even cleaned up your own backyard. There's an old Negro spiritual that says, you better sweep around your own back door before you try to come around and sweep around mine. So, family, listen to what I'm saying. We're not trying to be ugly, because I'm proud to be an American. But understand this: you can't sit here and have your cake and eat it too. You're going to have to take some of this of what you've done wrong, because let me tell you something, just because you weren't a slave doesn't mean you shouldn't raise your hand and take accountability for some of the wealth and things that you've acquired through slavery.
Or like you said, just because you never owned a slave don't mean you didn't benefit from it.
Right. Come on.
You know,
so that's what I was trying to say. So,
that don't mean you didn't benefit from it.
Right.
Your people didn't benefit from it.
Right. There's people who own land right now. That used to be people of colors and Indians' land. Y'all went and took that land. Y'all didn't buy the land. You didn't fairly purchase the land. You didn't give a fair market value. You took the land. Then here's what's crazy. When anybody starts talking the same conversation that you use to acquire the land, all of a sudden we're an enemy of the state. If we start saying, oh, we might need to take that land back and take it by force, then all of a sudden you want to call everybody and talk about, we got some folk over here, the problems. You know, they trying to take what we work. You didn't work for that. You didn't work for that. Slavery. And you taking it is how you acquired it. So don't come with me with it ain't right how y'all taking this hard-earned stuff that we work for. Hey, because if we go back, your mama's mama or your daddy's daddy probably stole the land, or was a person who participated in the slave trade or in slavery in some shape, form, or fashion, or Jim Crowism, that actually stole land from good folk of color. Period. Brother Brown.
Well, I gotta agree with what was said earlier, and we cannot do away with everything that doesn't make us. You might not like how slavery makes the children, or you feel as a person, as a white person, but at the end of the day, ask yourself: is it the truth? Did it happen? Something that's been bothering me my entire life, and it's the truth, but I have to deal with it. It bothers me that we have to deal with the fact that Malcolm X assassins were his own race of people.
Mm.
Now, whether they were put in place by the CIA, blah, 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 that's irrelevant. Issue is, you are a black that gunned down someone that was trying to empower us. Martin Luther King supposedly was killed by a white. My thing is, that breaks my heart that you were able to be bamboozled, hoodwinked, and led astray so much that you would have killed a man as great as Malcolm. We got to deal with that. So since I don't like it, it's not the truth. Since I don't like it, we should remove it from the history book. I think that people of black people and white people, we all just have to accept things. Nope, you maybe never owned a slave in your life. You are white. But this whole system of which we all interact was the major beneficiary of slavery.
Come on.
That stock exchange that we don't have, maybe one or two Fortune 500 companies of African ownership, was created on the back of slavery. White House, all of DC, and all of these areas around these antebellum homes, all of these things were built with free labor. So for folks that can't understand what is the purpose of reparation, it is to pay for all that free labor that this country got during slavery. Now, my thing is, oh, y'all need to get over it and stop talking about slavery. It was over 500 years ago now. Yeah, and still, like you said, bro, there's still been no formal apology from this country. The Vietnamese have gotten formal apology from Vietnam. The Jews have gotten apology for the Holocaust from the United States, and they didn't have anything to do. Anyway, that's the story.
The Japanese, who we dropped 2 atomic bombs on.
All of it, but it is such an effort to say slavery was bad. This country benefited from it. For that country apology. It's as simple as that.
Hold it. And what you didn't mention, let's talk about economics, because we need to bring this into more than just words of apologies. All the people we just mentioned got reparations, got a check. The Jews got a check from the United States of America, and we had absolutely nothing to do with the Holocaust. People from the Vietnam War, they got a check. The Japanese, they got a check. Okay, we were taken from our homeland, in which have folks say it, oh, you're doing much better over here than you would have been doing over there. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. It depends, because let me tell you something. Everybody in Africa ain't in the bush running around looking for Tarzan. I'm telling you that right now. So just be convinced, because watch this. If you want to make that comparison about the motherland, let me tell you about how many trailer parks I know that exist around here. That's got some people with buck teeth who don't speak the King's English too well, and people can act how they want to right now with me. Come for me if you want to. I'm easy to find. But at the end of the day, before you talk about folk out in the bush, I'll talk about some of them folks that's out in these backwoods and these shacks and acting and do not speak the King's English and do not have good hygiene and also are a little bit throwed off. So at the end of the day, I'm not here to talk about anybody, but I ain't going to let you talk about my folks and you just get a free pass anymore, because those days are over.
Well, we have to stop and have these discussions. And I don't know why they say they're tough discussions, because they're really not. All we're talking about is the truth. So if yesterday you were in a car accident, and I just wanted to tell you how my day was yesterday, I don't want to talk about yesterday. Why not? I don't want to talk about it. Well, I would like to talk about it because yesterday happened. Yesterday was real. But right now, we're allowing what has happened is, this president that we had, he put people in place that are making decisions that slowly but surely changing how much of the truth people are exposed to.
Right.
If they don't like the truth, guess what? Let's get rid of it. I'm more than sure if we took that ideology, the Native Americans would erase everything in this country. If the Native Americans had to only deal with what they liked and what they enjoyed, there would have never been a Nina, a Pinta, and a Santa Maria coming over here.
Right.
They would erase that. They would erase the whole ideology of Thanksgiving. Because what we did was, well, not we, when I say we as people of color, what was done was there were blankets passed out filled with smallpox to wipe out almost a whole race of people. So you think the Native Americans like that? If you think they like it, then why we change the name of the Redskins? They made sure that got done, didn't it? Let's change the Redskins. We don't want to be called the Redskins. They're the Commanders now. And I'm telling you, Florida State is next. We got to stop. Like comment was made.
Well, I'm not. Hey. Now I'm not convinced of that, because once again, Florida is a part of the Deep South, and there's some things coming about in the Deep South. But I believe, and I just hate to say it, I believe I'll be in my 70s or 80s when I start seeing some real progressive change in the Deep South. And I may not live to see it, because watch this. There are folks I went to school with who graduated in my class, high school folks. I ain't even gonna go to college. There's high school folks I went with, class 85, who really do not believe that that their ancestors treated black people bad. They don't. They don't. They will literally call. I have friends who will call me. And let me go ahead, because somebody said you better put yourself in the picture while you say this. I will have friends who will call me and say, they call me by the name they call me back home, Joey. Joey, we were friends. We were friends. I did I ever treat you like you wasn't a friend? And then I have to explain to him it has nothing to do. I said the reason you treated me like a friend is, I said, for one moment in your life you didn't see me as a black guy. But if you had ever saw me as your mom and dad saw, I said, watch this. I said, as I always ask my white friends, how many of y'all came and spent the night with me, and how many did I spend the night with y'all? Yeah, we were friends during the day.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, and okay, and better yet, couple of my friends had some pretty little sisters. How many of y'all would have saw me as your friend if your sister would have started saying, "Oh, I like Joey"? No, all of a sudden, then it would have been, wait a minute, you can't like him. So you know, I tell people, we got to get real with one another, and that's the problem. Because we're so busy lying to one another about, no, this didn't happen, and this woke ideology. Yeah, everybody need to be woke. Everybody need to be woke, because everybody needs to realize this is the truth. And guess what? The sooner you accept the truth, it's just like if you're on crack, or if you're on cigarettes, or if you're on alcohol, or if you're addicted to pornography. I can tell you all day what you're addicted to until you accept the truth.
Well, it's as simple as this. The first rule for us as therapists, the first rule in solving a problem, you must first admit there is a problem.
Right.
The first rule of solving a problem is we both have to admit that there is a problem.
Right.
So I think that we are looking at a concept in this country that is, instead of looking at that there is a problem, we're going to deny that it's a problem. We're going to avoid that there is a problem. I knew things was changing, and let's talk a little bit closer to home, especially your backyard. I remember when it was no problem. We used to say we're going to USL Raging Cajun. And I remember just a few years ago they was talking about we want to change the name of the Raging Cajun because that's racist.
Right.
And I was like, wow. You know, they wanted to change the same way they've been trying to change Ole Miss Rebel.
Right.
With the little Confederate man that come out with the big head. I've been watching for almost 10 years. They've been trying to change Ole Miss from the Rebels. That ain't happened. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't UL still called Raging Cajun?
They still the Raging Cajuns.
What I thought. We have to start looking at these little remnants of oppression, remnants of systematic racism.
Come on.
And we have to start looking at how these things still function within our society, even in 2023. And just because you don't like it or it makes you feel uncomfortable, as it was said earlier, it's the truth. And you cannot and you should not erase the truth. You should not do that. There's some certain things I got to deal with. I have to deal with. My hometown of New Orleans, Louisiana, was listed as one of the most violent places in the United States. I love my hometown. I wouldn't want to live there again, but I love my hometown.
Come on. I ain't far behind you in Memphis 10. I ain't far behind you. I ain't far behind you.
I believe that we have a police shortage. But the reason we have a police shortage is, one, we don't want to pay these cats. And two, it's going into a war zone. New Orleans is like a war zone right now.
Right. That's real talk.
Just because I don't like it does not mean I want them to remove New Orleans off the face of the earth. What I have to do is I have to accept that my hometown is a violent place and do what I can to change.
Right. True. True.
You know? So
Yeah.
I
Now,
think
now,
that
now
as
that
we
hold it. I want you to say that. Wait. We cannot. Hold on, family. I want y'all to listen carefully to what my brother just said. And there are nuggets that sometimes I have to pause us where he can say the nugget again, where you can say, what can I do in my community to do just what he said? Say that again. Now, you got to accept that New Orleans is one of the
right,
most dangerous cities in America. However, you love the city. And what do you need to do?
I don't like it, but I have to find out what I can do
Come on.
to change. What can I do to change? What difference can I make in my city to change that look, change that image? If and I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna leave this alone. Instead of trying to take books out of library,
Mm,
take slavery out of books,
mm.
take all the things that they don't like, why don't we decide to accept it as the truth, teach the truth,
Mm.
and show how we can make this a better place coming from that.
Come on. Come on.
But
And learn about
see,
it where it won't repeat itself.
right, see, but what makes that difficult is yes, we've come all a long way from slavery, but then now all of a sudden you got little Billy at 10 years old looking at a man put his knee on the neck of, of another man until he died. You have to look at a man walk, and as much as I've done this over the past, over looking at houses that are open under construction and walking
Mm.
around looking and I have to worry about the well-being of myself and my loved ones.
Come on. Come on.
I have to be worried about my loved ones going and looking at houses because somebody could think they're trying to steal something and try to shoot them.
Come on. Come on.
No, we have to do better. We have to be better. And that's the challenge that you're trying to erase. You're trying to erase people like me and people like Joe and other folks that expect you to be better.
Come on. Come
That's
on.
what you're trying to erase. So instead, if I erase all the stuff that made me look bad, then I ain't got to be better because there's nothing in place that shows that I'm not already good.
Right.
Let's take
Right.
everything out of there that shows that I'm not good. That would be like me saying, you know what? Erase New Orleans from the United States. Because I don't want people to know that I'm from that violent city. So let's just erase New Orleans from the United States. Instead of me saying, what can I do to change the image of my city,
Right. Hold it.
my hometown?
And catch this, family. Catch this. Really, please, please catch this. It's up to you. Because listen, there's not a person on this podcast, there's not a person watching this podcast, there's not an individual out there who has not did something wrong. It might be small, it might be great, but we all have made a mistake. We all have secrets until we get caught. And you know the level of your secret or what it is, it may be something real tiny that we can just say, oh, you need somebody to talk to and you need to be counseled, or it might be something major that might have to do with law enforcement and indictments and individuals having to go to jail or stand before a judge. But can't nobody walk around and say I ain't did nothing, I'm spotless, I'm snow white clean, as they say. No. So with that being said, always what I tell folks is ask yourself, if you were the guilty party, how would you be talking right now if we caught you doing what you shouldn't do or what you wasn't supposed to do? You'd be like, hey, come on, give me a break. Well, that same mercy you want to get when you the one, give that same mercy when other folk need that too. Understand this, family. This is a great country. I love this country. I fought for this country. I bled for this country. I've been wounded in combat for this country. See, See, I don't use the word veteran lightly because if you pull up my record, it'll show you. It'll show you where I done caught a bullet for this country. However, I still understand that even though I've done all that, and even though I honorably serve this country right now in the capacity of putting on a uniform, if I'm not in that uniform, I get worried when folk don't look like me, may engage me, and not know that I'm actually a part of the same organization they work for. Because here's what I do know. Just because you wear the uniform don't make you a good person. And bad people put on good uniforms and perform those duties every day and wait for the opportunity to show their real colors. And when they show it, they show it. Period.
Yeah. Good people wear, bad people wear good uniforms all the time. All the time.
Right.
I think that as we close out tonight, I would be sad if I didn't get this thought across tonight. Everyone, as Brother Dupree just said, everyone at some point in their life has done something that they're not proud of. I believe that because you've done bad does not mean you are bad. I have some people who are white that I truly love. But I am never going to not recognize the atrocity that was slavery. I'm never not going to acknowledge. We have come through this country as black people and we've achieved, we've accomplished, we've excelled in spite of.
Mm.
Okay? We've become exceptional in spite of the obstacles placed before us. But what's happening is now people want to eliminate the obstacles that we've overcome. And we can't allow that to happen.
Cannot.
We cannot allow that to happen. What you saw in that Alabama brawl was us as black people overcoming another obstacle that was placed in front of us. And that obstacle is they can't stick together.
Right.
That's why they're killing each other out there. They're never going to come together. They're never going to support one another. That's why we will always excel. Well, those brothers proved you wrong.
That part.
They supported that brother.
Come on.
Same way we are going to support one another until the end of time. We don't need you to accept or like history. We just need you to know that it's true. That's all we need. We don't need you to like it. We don't need you to accept it. All we need you to know is that it's true. Nobody made up 400 years of slavery.
Come on.
Slavery 400 years ago. We didn't make that up.
Come
That's
on.
what it was. It existed.
Right.
You know, we didn't make that up. So now, what can we do to bring about this wall that's been put between us? Tear it down and build that society that we want. No, see, we going backwards. The only way we can build a society that we want is if you don't have to deal with the parts you don't like.
Come on.
You know, now for me, I love hamburger, but there's certain things I don't want on my hamburger. I don't like tomatoes and I don't like cheese. Okay, so you don't see me going around telling every Burger King, Wendy's, McDonald's, I need y'all to get rid of all of them tomatoes.
Right.
And I need you to get rid of all of that cheese.
Come on.
Because I don't like cheese and tomatoes on burger. But at some point, you're gonna say, well, what about the people that do?
Come on.
Are they not relevant? Are they not important? So what you're trying to eliminate, that truth y'all trying to eliminate, eliminates people who conquered, overcame. You see, because if we get rid of slavery, we got to get rid of people like Nat Turner.
Come on.
Harriet Tubman.
Come on.
You know, Sir John Frederick Douglass.
Come
we
on.
got to get rid of people who excelled during slavery.
W.B. Du Bois.
W.B. Du Bois, right? You know, we got to get rid of people who excelled during the struggle. So we can't let you get rid of the bad part, because if you what the old people say, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Come on, you can't.
So we can't let you get rid of history, because then it gets rid of the achievements and the accomplishments that we've made throughout that atrocity. That's all I have.
You know, family, as we do bring this to a close, and I'm about to turn it over to Brother Edward, I do want y'all to understand this. I'm proud of people of color, even though there was a lot of jokes made, and Lord knows a lot of folks watch that video time and time again and again and again. I think folks were just at a place where we were just so proud to see the unity in our community. And listen, you know, let's just be real about it. It is sometimes violent acts that brings unity amongst not only community but nations. 9/11, I brought that up. You'd be surprised how many folks decided to go ahead and raise their hand and swear an oath and join a military organization because of what happened in 9/11. That was a bad situation, but folk went to fight because they said, you can't do us like this. And I can name time and time again, but really to my people of color out here, especially as we get ready for this election season. And next year, we're getting ready for a presidential cycle. Listen, once again, I'm going to say it. I'm going to keep saying it until you finally get it. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. Start asking these candidates, can you earn, keyword, can you earn my vote? What is it that you're going to do to help my people and my community become better citizens and make my community a better place to live? Not how am I going to elect you to office, and all of a sudden once you get there, you forget that you came from this side of town, and every time I see you, you're at the other side of town trying to get them funding for whatever they need to get done on their side of town. And we got potholes and school issues and crime issues in our community. No. I need you to tell me, what are you going to do to help my community? And I don't care what title you use. I don't care if you say I'm a veteran. I don't care if you say, you know, I'm from the hood, in the hood. No. What are you going to do to change the hood? What are you going to do to make the hood a better place? What you going to do to turn the hood into a loving neighborhood that thrives, grows, and succeeds? Because if you're not telling me what you're going to do in my neighborhood to make my neighborhood a better neighborhood, then guess what? I really don't think you've earned my vote. And I will tell you, I appreciate to know that you've offered yourself up for service, but you will not be getting my vote, because my vote needs to be earned. That means you need to tell me more than a lot of blah, 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 and telling me about what your security clearance is and where you've been and who you roll with. Because guess what? If you're not knocking on my door, telling me what you're going to do to change the area around my neighborhood, then Houston, you haven't earned my vote and you shall not get it. And at the end of the day, for those who are incumbents that are in office, I pray to God that the time you were in there, you did something that you can stand on a debate stage and say, this is what I did for this neighborhood. Not what I did for so-and-so and such, not for the folks that are related to me, not to the folks that are kin to me, not to my friends, but this is what I did for this neighborhood. Because if you can't, I'm here to give you and serve you notice that the people of the community should tell you your time in office has now come to an end. We need to get somebody in here who can help all of us out and make it better for the greater good of us all. With that being said, I'm turning it over. I'm off my soapbox. My brother from another mother, Edward J. Brown.
Services are no longer needed. Well, as we close out, I just want to reiterate for just a second. Look at the good and sometimes the bad in every situation. But one thing that we must not turn our backs on, that is the truth. Truth must always be in the front. So, that being said, here's the truth for K9. every time we end this show, where we say we love you. If nobody else told you today, we just did. Peace out. We'll see y'all next week.